Hey there guys, today's going to be the first day of the container shop project, and what I'm going to be doing today is cutting this 40-foot container over at my neighbor Al's house in half, moving it to my house, and then cutting it a few more times, building some doors and a whole bunch of other stuff. So let's get started and see how this thing goes. My father-in-law's on his way with the boom truck, so anyway, fingers crossed. I hope it's going to turn out well. So as you would expect with a project like this, the very first step was to measure and mark where I was going to be cutting the container. Once I had my lines all marked out, I then went about welding in some X-bracing on the insides of the container just to make sure that it didn't fall out of square once it was cut in half. For the task of cutting the container in half, I'm using a plasma cutter and an angle grinder. This was my very first time using a plasma cutter, but I found it to be super easy and just really nice to use. But it wasn't without a learning curve. You'll notice there's some areas where it appears to flare up a bit, and that's basically me just running the cutter over the metal a bit too quickly. And for the plywood floor, I used a circular saw and a reciprocating saw, and I'm pretty sure the whole process didn't take more than 2 minutes. After that, I went to the angle grinder and cut the top supports from the outside and then the inside. And then once everything was all cut, I started on the lower beams. And once everything was all cut, it was time to move it, and at this point I was out of the solo zone. There's my father-in-law Les, and his dad, Papa Lynn, and my brother-in-law and nephew there. So the whole family came out to help me, and I really appreciated it. Okay guys, that is pretty much it. The container's cut in half and it is moved, not necessarily in its final resting location because that's actually going to be a little bit over there where you see that line, but it's close enough for me to be able to work and have access to 220 power. The other container, or the other half of it, is in front of my house and I strategically put it there for a specific reason, and that is because it's going to force me to get it done as quick as possible because I know my wife's not going to let me or like me having it there. But anyway, that one will get cut one other time and then it will get sealed up, and hopefully that's going to be the one that I'm going to be selling to my buddy. But just a closer look at it, it's the other 20-foot section, and I've already started on the cuts right there to cut it in half, and then I'm going to use all this scrap material to seal up this end, and then he will have the end that has the original doors. So the next part of this series is going to be me sealing up the back end of this one, hopefully getting it sold and out of here, and then building the two big doors on the container portion that I'm going to be keeping, cutting the windows and the man door out, and kind of framing those out, and then hopefully maybe painting it. So the next episode, and then maybe the one after that where I build the roof is, or should be, kind of maybe the more interesting ones. So as always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.